I love to read horror. I'm fascinated by it. But I don't find it scary, except in those rare instances, those rare books that manage to slip under my skin or creep into some unguarded corner of my mind and suggest a dark thought I hadn't yet built up any defenses against. A truly scary book. I can think of 5 such instances, 5 such books. And in this video, I'm going to rank them from, in my opinion, scary to the absolute scariest. But before we have a look at these 5 books, if you like horror, you can help out this channel, hit like, hit subscribe, stop by the comment sections and say hi. That helps me out, and I do appreciate the help. Now, let's take a look at some scary books. Starting off my list at number 5 is a book by a Canadian writer, Reid, and his 2016 hit, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Now, I talked about this book in my video, 4 Books to Read When You're Smuggling a Human Head, so I won't say much about it here, except that basically a young couple, a man and a woman, are driving to the man's childhood home to meet the man's parents, and the woman is starting to think that maybe she doesn't want to be in this relationship any longer. So it starts out as a sort of relationship drama, but you do get a sense that there's something off going on, something odd. And later on, about halfway through the book, it takes a hard tonal shift and becomes a legit scary horror story. The hard tonal shift worked very well on me. And there's a long passage that reminded me of those 80s slasher movies that I grew up on. It's also a very good book. I highly recommend checking it out. Coming in at the number 4 spot is another Canadian author, Nick Cutter, and his second book, The Deep, from 2015. There's a worldwide pandemic, an extinction-level event. But researchers think they may have found a cure. The cure lies deep on the ocean floor. So they build a research center in the Mariana Trench, hundreds of kilometers below the surface of the ocean. After a few months, the scientists down there apparently go crazy, and communication with researchers on the surface is broken off. So they send for the brother of the head scientist, hoping he can go down there, assess the situation, reestablish some semblance of sanity in his brother, and reestablish the lines of communication. That's the basic setup for the story. So the first half of the book has this brother go down in this rickety submersion vehicle into the station at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The silence sounds different. The darkness looks different. The air pressure he experiences feels different. And the descriptions are fantastic. The author does a great job putting you there, isolating you, and suffocating you. It's extremely claustrophobic, very scary. Now, the second half of the book didn't work quite as well on me. I was so scared from the first half that it was difficult to escalate from there, and I found that the third act went on for a bit too long. But based on the effectiveness of the first half of this book, The Deep earns its spot at number 4 on my list. At the number 3 spot is The Ritual by Adam Nevill from 2011. The Ritual won the 2012 August Derleth Award for Best Horror Novel of the Year. And since I did a video ranking all the winners of the August Derleth Award, I talked extensively about the ritual there, if you want to check it out. Here, I'll just say that I found the book legit scary. It's essentially a creature feature, or in part a creature feature, but it does a good job holding back and not revealing the creature until the very end, while still finding inventive ways to escalate the suspense and the tension throughout the story. Adam Nevill is a fantastic horror writer. If you haven't already, I strongly encourage you to check him out, and The Ritual is a good place to start. Coming in at the number 2 spot on my list of scariest books I've ever read is Off Season by Jack Ketchum from 1980. Off Season is a realistic horror story in that it doesn't use supernatural or sci-fi elements. Instead, a group of friends are vacationing in a cabin off the coast of Maine, and they are attacked by a clan of murderous cannibals. This clan, they are an inbred family that live in the wild, so they are part human, part depraved beast, something human adjacent, and they're extremely savage. This is a gruesome book, and there is an element of home invasion to it. Because I'm quite the homebody, home invasion stories tend to affect me in particular. Plus, the lack of supernatural elements makes it more realistic and, to me, more terrifying. Off Season was Jack Ketchum's first novel, and it was my first experience with this writer. And to be honest, it was too gruesome for me. I had a tough time getting through it. But I would be lying to say that I wasn't scared. That's why it's on this list. I haven't read anything else from Jack Ketchum. I know he's very successful and very popular. But based on this experience, I decided that he's obviously a skilled storyteller, but not for me. It was just too gruesome and too realistic for my liking. I will say that I read this book in French. And the French translation is different from the original run of the novel. Because it was Jack Ketchum's first novel, the publisher wanted to make several changes to the manuscript, and Jack Ketchum wasn't happy about this, but he wanted to be published, so he accepted the changes. And by the time they got around to making a French translation of it, Jack Ketchum was already a successful best-selling author, so the French translation is based on the author's version. I read up on the changes that the publisher asked for, and I have to say, unsurprisingly, I agree with the author. The changes did not make a lot of sense. They served basically to weaken or water down the story. For example, there was one character that the publisher wanted to survive and didn't want to die. So Jack Ketchum changed the story around. But in the flow of the story, it made sense for this character to die. And also they asked for a completely different ending. So now that Jack Ketchum's a successful best-selling author, you can find the author's version of Off Season. I think that's the more common version, if I'm not mistaken. But if you want to check it out, pay attention to what edition you get and avoid the earlier editions, the publisher's versions. Avoid those, I would say. Coming in at the top spot, if you've seen my video on the 10 greatest horror novels of all time, this won't be much of a surprise. But the scariest book I've ever read is The Reddening by Adam Nevill from 2019. The Reddening is set mainly on an island off the coast of Devon, England. There is an archaeological discovery which puts in question everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations, about our own evolutionary trajectory. There are ancient things resurfacing. There's a cult. There's a bloodthirsty creature. And what makes this book so scary is, firstly, the quality of the writing. It's excellent. I was immediately immersed in the story thanks to the craftsmanship and the quality of the writing. And also, Adam Nevill gives us well fleshed out characters that are compelling yet flawed and who make logical, reasonable decisions, and they pay a high price for those decisions. Exactly what you want from a horror story. If you haven't already, I strongly recommend checking out The Reddening. I can't say enough good things about it. So there you have it, my list of the scariest books I've ever read. What do you think of my list? What are the scariest books you've ever read? I want to know. Stop by the comment sections, say hi, let me know. And while you're there, you can hit the like and subscribe buttons. That helps out the channel, and I do appreciate the help. If you like horror that's more on a psychological level, there's a good chance that you'll like my books. I won't do an exhaustive sales pitch here. I'll just show them to you. We have Delirium's Muse, The Orthography of Madness and Misgivings, and a tongue-in-cheek collection, Stories to Tell Your Children, Assuming You Are a Very Bad Parent. And this one's in French, À l'abri de la raison. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the US Amazon authors page in the description box. But I imagine if you want, you can find my books wherever you get your books from, wherever you're from. Thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video.